Eva is a paraplegic. On her birthday, her friend Sophie gives her a strange advent calendar. It's not the traditional treats you find when you open each drawer, but quirky gifts that are scary and get bloodier. The movie opens with a grave-looking Eva recording herself, and saying that whoever gets the appearance schedule next should observe the guidelines, if not they'll pass on. We are then taken to the past, explicitly December 3rd. Which is, in all honesty, Eva's birthday. Eva is a paraplegic who fills in as a protection specialist. However, she gets chastened for failing to meet expectations in her occupation for the beyond couple of months. Welcome to the review recapped. Have a blessed day and sub for a bit of good luck. Following a horrible day at work, she has a go at calling her dad. In any case, is rather replied by her cool stepmother, Agnes, who just illuminates her that her dad has currently failed to remember her because of his Alzheimer's. Sometime thereafter, her dearest companion, Sophie, pays her an unexpected visit to praise her birthday and cheer her up. She comes bearing a gift from Germany, a wooden coming schedule, for the people who are new to an appearance schedule. It is a typical Christmas present in the West that comprises of a case with 24 little entryways, which you should open one every day beginning from December 1st until December 24th. Nonetheless, the coming schedule that Sophie gives her has an unpropitious composition on the back that says "Dump it and I'll kill you." Eva accepts this message as a joke and proceeds to open the principal entryway with a key she tracks down inside the case. Inside the entryway is a piece of chocolate, and she finds a progression of German phrases composed on the covering. Sophie then assists her with deciphering it. It contains 3 arrangements of rules. First, the schedule contains sweets, and assuming one is eaten, all should be eaten, or you'll pass on. Second, you need to regard every one of the principles until you open the last entryway. Also, the final remaining one, assuming you have a go at discarding the schedule, you'll kick the bucket. Clearly believing it's ludicrous, Eva feels free to eat the chocolate. Since this is the 3rd of December, she likewise starts opening the subsequent entryway, which crawls her out a little since it contains her dad's number 1 chocolate. Also, on the 3rd entryway, she tracks down an unfavorable card with more German composition. It says, "To fix hurt, obliterate what hurt you." Her interest drives her to have a go at opening the 4th entryway, however she finds the lock stuck. The 2 companions then, at that point, use the remainder of the evening sharing biographies in the kitchen, until at 12 p.m., they hear the appearance schedule ring with a German recording that says 12 p.m. is here, open the entryway. As yet suspecting it's senseless, they feel free to have a go at opening the 4th entryway once more, and a wooden board of an animation man springs up as the entryway opens. It contains one more piece of chocolate, with composing that says "Jesus told the handicapped person, emerge and walk." Since this hits excessively near and dear, Eva turns desolate. She lets Sophie know that she might want to tap out, and eats her dad's number 1 chocolate after her companion returns home. However, all of the unexpected, the telephone begins ringing, and when she gets it, she hears her decrepit dad's voice wishing her a cheerful birthday prior to hanging up. This gets Eva energized, and she attempts to get back to her dad, yet he doesn't get. At work, her supervisor reports that a learner named Miriam will be taking a portion of Eva's clients, and could ultimately take over her work assuming Eva continues to fail to meet expectations. After work, Sophie gets her and they a little at her home, during which time Eva tells her there may be something enchanted with the schedule, on the grounds that subsequent to eating her father's number 1 chocolate, he abruptly calls her on her detached landline. Her companion speculates that perhaps the chocolate in the schedule is bound with medications, and this is not at all impossible since she took this schedule from an irregular seller in Germany. Paying no more brain to this, Sophie takes her to a bar for a 2-fold date. Sophie's date is a repulsive man named Boris, while Eva's is an attractive tracker who's caring and obliging towards her over the course of the evening. Boris is inconceivably inconsiderate to Eva during the entire supper, and Tracker apologizes to Eva for his companion's way of behaving. Soon after, Sophie out of nowhere asks out Eva's date since she thinks that he is more alluring. This disheartens Eva, however she doesn't say a thing, and in light of the fact that her companion is going home with the tracker, Eva stalls out with the unsavory Boris, who consents to drive her home. Before he begins driving, he attempts to persuade her to introduce an exchanging application and offers to give her cash to contribute. In any case, Eva is excessively worn out and advises him to begin driving. She nods off on the drive, and when she awakens, she finds Boris improperly contacting her. Not just that, he unfastens his jeans and takes a stab at compelling her to join him. At the point when Eva retaliates, Boris irately tosses her and her wheelchair out into the road. As he drives away, Eva curses that she wants for him to simply vanish of outrage. Unbeknownst to her, something starts occurring with the appearance schedule acceptable later. A toy vehicle that seems to be indistinguishable from Boris unexpectedly comes carrying out of the schedule, which looks the interest of Eva's canine, Marvin. Simultaneously, Boris has left his vehicle in the center of no place to contact himself. At the point when the untidy canine shakes the toy vehicle all over, Boris' vehicle gets shaken as well, and soon enough, he gets killed. That next morning, Eva gets a call from Sophie illuminating her about Boris passing. In any case, just later, Eva out of nowhere gets an instant message from Boris' number that says he was grieved. She shows the text to Sophie when they get together just later, and Sophie chooses to tap on the connect at the lower part of the message, which drives Eva's telephone to begin downloading the exchanging application he recommended the previous evening. Eva gets some cash in it, very much like Boris guaranteed. Likewise at the recreation area, Sophie sees how a gorgeous man at the recreation area appears to ignite Eva's advantage, yet she's too cynical to even consider conversing with him since she doesn't think anybody would need to accompany somebody in a wheelchair. That evening when 12 o'clock rolls in AM, she opens the nearby on the coming schedule, and tracks down a heart-formed chocolate in it. The next day, at the point when she goes to an eatery, the man from the recreation area is there, and she chooses to arrange something very similar drink he does. What's more, just so occurs, an occupied server immediately puts both their beverages on Eva's table, an open door which Eva seizes to put the heart chocolate inside the man's beverage. Just after the man drinks it, he unexpectedly approaches her, and presents himself as William. They continue to use the remainder of the day simply conversing with one another. They exchange telephone numbers. What's more, he even drives her home subsequently. Feeling guaranteed that there's a mystical thing about the approach schedule now, she energetically opens the nearby, and eats the clock-formed chocolate she set aside this opportunity. Notwithstanding, something odd unexpectedly occurs. She views that as 4 more entryways have been opened in a flicker of an eye, and there are various missed approaches her telephone. To make it considerably more bizarre, her manager reproves and fires her when she goes to work, as he guarantees that she's been skipping work for the beyond 4 days. This obviously befuddles Eva, in light of the fact that it doesn't feel like 4 days have passed to her. She then, at that point, welcomes William to her home, furthermore, enlightens him regarding the coming schedule and how she thinks the chocolate is bound with drugs. Hearing this, William proposes her to quit eating the chocolate through and through. At the point when he leaves, she inquisitively chooses to collect the chocolate covering. What's more, shockingly sees the logo of one of the organizations in her exchanging application. Seeing this as a sign, she puts resources into the organization, and promptly gets 9 pennies of benefit. Sooner or later during the evening, the schedule radiates an unfavorable gleam, and starts calling the canine's name. The inquisitive Marvin approaches it, and eats the bone-molded chocolate inside. What's more, soon after, the front entryway opens up, permitting him to go out. On the following morning, Eva gets a lot of warnings from her exchanging application, and cheerfully finds that she's made €486 short-term out of her speculation. And afterward all of the unexpected, her canine Marvin begins yelping from the front entryway, and she finds him shrouded in blood. As she tidies him up, she finds a jewelry pendant adhered to his teeth, and reviews that this is the pendant on her manager's accessory. Overreacting, she has a go at calling her chief, yet he doesn't get, suggesting that something has happened to him. Eva then, at that point, finds the remaining parts of Boris' vehicle candy, understanding something's off with the approach schedule. So she starts to collect the utilized coverings on the table, and Mortar's post-it notes over them to check every one of the abnormal occasions that happened since she got the schedule. The main chocolate she hasn't eaten up to this point is the one that accompanies a note that says Jesus shared with the handicapped person, emerge and walk. Needing to demonstrate whether there's any reality to her presumption, she eats the chocolate, and her body starts to shake savagely. The following time she awakens, she's at the medical clinic, with William close by. He illuminates her that she was found before her home, clutching the approach schedule and declining to let it go. Since she doesn't the least bit recollect what occurred, they put her under a CT examine, where she out of nowhere reviews that she strolled briefly prior to dropping. At the point when Eva gets back the following day, she goes on to open the nearby when the clock strikes 12 a.m. once more. As of now, she thinks about eating the most recent chocolate. In any case, rules against it. All things considered, she continues to visit her dad's home. There she wheels herself to her dad, and feeds him the chocolate. Just later, he gets used to her, and recollects her name. In any case, abruptly, he starts saying that the Schedule requests a cost to pay each time something great occurs, thus on the off chance that Eva wishes to walk, someone she knows needs to bite the dust. Her dad likewise adds that he wouldn't fret getting forfeited when the opportunity arrives, and that assuming Eva won't allow anybody to bite the dust, she will kick the bucket all things being equal. That evening, she gets her 15th chocolate, yet chooses to hold on until the following day to take it. She visits William at the emergency clinic, and lets him know that the last time she took something similar sort of chocolate, she strolled, thus she needs to take this one and let him see what occurs. Here her body begins to writhe once more. William puts a hand on her thigh to consistent her, and when Eva awakens, she enthusiastically once more claims that her lower body can feel. Soon thereafter, he drives her to a public swimming pool, since swimming is the main thing she can do. At the pool, she meets Antoine, a man who appears to be keen on her. In the meantime, her beau is driving back to his work environment when he finds that she went out keys in the vehicle. William then drives dependent upon her home, and conceals her critical by her front entryway, yet the entryway out of nowhere opens up. The beau then chooses to go into the house to look at things. He promptly finds the notes on Eva's table, and understands that the chocolate set apart with the day they met contains a heart. And afterward, unexpectedly, the telephone rings, and he goes to respond to it. The guest is a frightening man talking in German, which scares him, so he hangs up. He then, at that point, strolls back up to the schedule, and sees this. What's more, a flipped composing starts keeping in touch with itself on the mirror by the side of the schedule. Understanding the schedule may be hazardous, he takes it with him, and chooses to dispose of the appearance schedule. Tragically, he has no clue about that defying the guidelines would prompt his passing. Furthermore, it is as of now that the unnerving figure from the schedule jumps out of the water. Terrified, William enters his vehicle, however the figure pops his window, also, hauls him submerged until he passes on. Simultaneously, Eva, who is swimming unexpectedly, finds her sweetheart's dead body at the lower part of the water, however there is no other option for her. She then, at that point, winds up ship to the stream when she re-emerges, and rapidly swims aground. Eva at last observes the unpleasant figure approaching her to return her schedule, before she drops. At the point when she awakens, she is some way or another back home, with somebody thumping on her entryway. It ends up being Antoine from the pool, who asserts that he tracked down her wheelchair and assets at the pool and chose to return it to her. Since Eva is past wrecked right now, she tells him to disappear. That night, she eats the 17th chocolate. Furthermore, unexpectedly hears a telephone ring coming from her restroom. Here she finds a sparkling break in the mirror, through which she sees William in her home. Noting a call, which is, in all honesty, the occasions from yesterday. She frantically calls out for him, however he was unable to hear her. So she cuts out a message on the mirror, attempting to tell him to not dump the schedule. In any case, the creeped out William essentially shuts the schedule, and the rest is history. On the following night, Eva seems to fear it when the schedule rings. This time, a blade emerges from it, with a drawing that means that Eva should kill her canine. When she declines, a hand starts gagging her, thus she goes after the blade once more. At the point when her companion Sophie visits her that next morning, she tracks down a path of blood all around the floor, and finds Eva sitting with her dead canine toward its finish. Concerned, Sophie chooses to spend the night at her place to ensure she's okay. Sophie investigates the house, and goes through old pictures of Eva from when she actually had working legs and had a profession as an artist. However, at that point, she gets hindered by the animation man jumping out of the schedule. At the point when she opens the nearby, it contains a biting gum with a phallus logo on it. So she grins and gets it into her pocket, right when a restless Eva comes in and requests her to hand it over. Yet, Sophie doesn't give her the one she got from the schedule, so Eva feels no impact by any stretch of the imagination. At the point when Sophie takes her on a drive to an excursion lodge, she out of nowhere gets herself shipped to the past, to simple minutes before the fender bender that injured her occurred. At the point when she gets back to the present, she's in the excursion lodge with Sophie, and appears distressed by the update that she can't walk any longer, in light of the fact that Sophie got them into the vehicle mishap previously. Thus she goes through the day attempting to advise herself that she cherishes Sophie. Also, doesn't have any desire to hurt her, while Sophie goes out hunting with her sweetheart, Tracker. Sophie says she faults herself for what occurs, while Eva takes a stab at telling her that the schedule awards wishes at the expense of the existences of others. Since right off the bat she was given a note that says to fix hurt, obliterate what harms you. Eva figures the schedule will ultimately kill Sophie so she can walk in the future. Sophie, feeling remorseful, says she'd be good with biting the dust assuming that Eva gets her legs back. In any case, Eva could do without this thought. Consequently, she hands Sophie the most recent chocolate from the schedule and advises all her it since she's apprehensive Sophie will kick the bucket assuming it's eaten now. While Eva goes through the late evening attempting to persuade the schedule to not kill her companion, Sophie puts the chocolate by her bedside as she joins her sweetheart in their own room. She likewise gives Tracker the phallus candy she got from the schedule already. Not long later, Eva finds a compartment on top of the schedule that contains a composition alongside a German location composed on it. She then, at that point, hears a disturbance coming from Sophie's room, followed by Sophie's horrendous body getting tossed out to the floor, alongside her sweetheart's. Remaining over them is the frightening schedule man. He kills them both and demands that Eva eat the most recent chocolate. Frightened, she does as he inquires. It is the 21st day when Eva gets out of the lodge, and at this point, she is completely ready to walk once more. She drives from the lodge, and heads to the location recorded on the material. This leads her to the home of Alois Hoffmann, a previous German painter. The man doesn't recall making the work of art, as he has been visually impaired for quite some time. He then starts feeling the surface to give calculating a shot which painting of his this is, during which he gets terrible blazes of himself mercilessly killing his family since that is the picture depicted in the actual canvas. Irritated by this, he lets her that know this is hogwash, as it is basically impossible that he would paint his family being dead, on the grounds that as may be obvious, they are essentially alive. Hearing this, Eva speculates that there probably been a period where he killed them on the grounds that the schedule told him to. So fundamentally, the visually impaired painter must have likewise been enticed by the schedule previously, and he forfeited his better half and child to get his vision back. In any case, what makes it more abnormal is that after December 24th, the appearance schedule inverts time, and everything's back how it was. It likewise caused him to disregard the things he had done, including the work of art as an advance notice. He then hollers at her to escape his home. The following time the schedule rings, she is on her drive back home. Inside the most recent entryway, she finds a doll looking like her collaborator Miriam, who simultaneously is cleaning up. At the point when she has a go at taking care of it, the schedule man shows up and starts to gag her. With no other decision, she goes after the doll, also, starts breaking its appendages, and exactly the same thing happens to Miriam until the lady kicks the bucket. Thus, when she returns home, she finds that her speculations income continue to build consistently. The following night denotes the 23rd day, and this time, she gets her dad's #1 chocolate alongside a firearm, connoting that she needs to kill him. Thus, she sends the schedule as a gift to her stepmother, who loathes it and right away dumps it into the chimney. Obviously, the schedule man will not have this, so he shows up and takes her life. In the meantime, Eva holds up before the house, prior to advancing inside. She tracks down her dad, and feeds him the chocolate, which inspires him to recollect more about her, thus they share a caring hug. He's completely mindful that it is currently his chance to kick the bucket, and is completely prepared for it. Eva focuses the weapon at him, and sorrowfully pulls the trigger. Soon thereafter, she welcomes Antoine the pool fellow to her place, and they spend a cozy night together. With nothing left to lose, she chooses to educate him everything concerning the schedule. In view of her decisions from visiting the German painter, she clarifies for him that this is the last evening she'd have the option to walk, and after this she will not often wake up on December 1st, and would have returned to her paraplegic self. Not just that, each and every occasion that occurred in the beyond 24 days could not have possibly occurred, and she will not recall that anything by the same token. Soon thereafter, she goes to the roof and records a directive for the following individual who gets the approach schedule, advising them to keep the guidelines and on the off chance that they pass on before December 24th, all passings will be conclusive. She then, at that point, obscenely moves until the schedule rings, and puts her telephone inside the compartment up top. At long last, the ideal opportunity for her to open the last entryway has come. At the point when she's going to eat the 24th chocolate, Antoine out of nowhere steps in, what's more, discusses the second rule to her, which is that you need to keep every one of the guidelines until you open the last entryway. Since Eva has now opened the last entryway, she doesn't need to comply with the principles any longer. To demonstrate this, he takes the schedule and dump it, however he doesn't pass on. He then tells her that she has the decision whether to eat the last chocolate, and get shipped back to December 1st, and everybody leaves except she's paraplegic, or she can remain here. Also, everybody remains dead yet she's ready to walk. Eva's brain races, and every one of the casualties streak in her head. She shouts at the last chocolate, uncertain which to pick. The film closes with a man thumping on Eva's entryway while holding a telephone with a video of Eva on it, uncovering that he's the following individual to be reviled by the coming schedule after Eva. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.